All right, y'all. So what's up with it? So listen, I got another video today. We finna be talking about Pluto inside the actual houses in astrology, right? But now, remember, I'm a Vedic astrologer, right? But check this out. So this is how I do it. I take a lot of those tropical placements like Pluto, I'm talking about Uranus, Neptune, the vertex, the asteroids, the Lilith placement, and I just incorporate them into the sidereal astrology. Now you got some people who want to be tropical sidereal Vedic astrologers, and you got people who like me because they say in the ancient text, the Surya Danta, that tropical astrology, zodiacs being tied to the equinox and solstice. You know what I'm talking about? I believe that's what they say about tropical astrology in that ancient Vedic. What I do about the actual signs being tied to the actual stars. You know what I'm talking about? The zodiac system being fixed stars drift over time. So now you can choose. Should we use tropical for natal horoscopes or should we use sidereal? My personal preference, I've done both of them and I've been good at both of them. But just the traditional Vedic astrology, you know what I'm talking about? See, I do Vedic astrology. I just incorporate the tropical elements in it. You know what I'm talking about? So I'm a kind of more like a neo astrology, neo Vedic astrology, right? But now, so we get it out the way. So just so y'all can know exactly what's going on. So now let's look at Pluto. So now I typed all this up. We finna go over. I'm finna give y'all a back go first. Y'all can kind of get comfortable with it. So y'all some pictures and shit, so y'all can really understand, right? So now Pluto, right? Oh, I see a mistake I made already. I'll put an E right there. But anyways, Pluto and Hades are often interchangeable in astrology, right? As they both represent similar themes, right? So related to transformation, the unconscious, and the forces of power, destruction, and rebirth, right? However, there are some nuances to the connection between them, particularly, let me put an E right there. Particularly, then that one is capitalized. Particularly in the mythology and how they manifest in astrology. So for those of y'all who don't know, y'all, Pluto is a Roman god and Hades is a Greek god, right? Around that same era, around those same time periods, or whatever. So yes, the planet Pluto is named after planet Pluto, Uranus, and Neptune. They named after what the Greek and Roman mythological gods. Real talk. So now let's go in and explore the actual background. So now Pluto and Hades mythological background, right? So now Hades is what? The ancient Greek god of the underworld, right? He ruled the realm where it's meant the dead reside, and he was associated with death, transformation, and the deeper hidden parts of existence, right? So Hades is often seen as stern, distant, and not evil, but as a necessary part of the cycle of life, death, and rebirth, right? His realm was also home to the treasures that were hidden beneath the earth, linking him to the idea of secrets and hidden riches in the darker aspects of life. Now, if y'all want to see how Hades look, let's come right here. This is like a representation of how Hades look. Remember him from Hercules and shit, the movie? Yeah, this is how Hades look right here, y'all. Yeah, so this is so you kind of see where that dark energy, kind of come from a little bit. And don't worry, because I'm gonna get into y'all. I'm gonna get into a little bit more about the actual dark energy and shit of like why you can consider this to be like kind of a really, really dark ass planet, right? So now let's go right back over here. So now, what did I say right there? Scroll back down. So now, Pluto, the Roman equivalent of Hades, shares many of the same characteristics. So in Roman mythology, Pluto was also the god of the underworld, like I was just saying earlier, ruling over the dead and overseeing the process of transformation. He was associated with wealth, right? Because wealth often comes from the earth, which is a form of precious metals or gems, right? And regeneration. So in Roman mythology, Pluto also held a role as a god of riches since wealth was found beneath the earth's surface, much like how inner power, psychological depth, and in a transformation can be mined from the depths of the unconscious in astrology. For those of y'all don't know what I typed up, so let me explain this shit. So the energy of what Pluto represents, we're gonna get more into it, but it just showing you that they were kind of rulers over the actual underworld, right? You see what I'm saying? So that's kind of like where their Pluto gets its like darkness and depth energy from a metaphysical, mythological perspective, right? However, where it gets that shit from a more physical aspect. So you got to understand. So now some people say Neptune is further than Pluto, or Pluto is further than Neptune, but basically Pluto is supposed to be, you know what I'm saying? And y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but they still towards the end out of all the planets. So right, so now like Pluto is supposed to be the planet that has the furthest distance away from the sun. Now some of y'all might be like, well, it's not a planet anymore, it's a dwarf. I don't want to hear none of that shit y'all be talking about. I'm telling y'all. So you see how, think about it. If the sun is all the way over here, then guess what? That means the light is all the way over here. But if Pluto is all the way on the complete opposite spectrum, that means it's really the light damn near ain't touching it at all. So even from a physical and symbolical representation, Pluto, yeah, is literally a planet of darkness, right? Now, scroll back down. So now listen. Thus, Pluto and Hades both symbolize transformation, the process of destruction, and renewal, like death and rebirth, right? The power, not necessarily the power to control others, but the power to control one's own transformation and abilities to break down what is no longer necessary to make way for something new. You understand that shit? This could also be represent like what the shit called the Tower card inside the tarot, the Tower card or the Death card inside the tarot. I don't know what they actually associated with, but just in the symbolism of what those cards represent, it's very scorpionic in nature, very Plutonian in nature. Because if y'all don't know, Pluto in tropical astrology is the new ruler. In tropical, not Vedic, in tropical astrology, Pluto is the actual ruler of Scorpio, right? Along with Mars, right? But in Vedic, it's still traditionally Mars, right? So now, the unconscious. Now, both represent the deeper hidden parts of life, right? Things that are not immediately visible but have a profound influence. Just kind of like this, the spiritual realm, ghosts, all the type of shit. If you just want to look at it from just, I guess, that standpoint, when it say like when I say it's they it's the invisible shit got power. Yeah, like astrology, just off top, right? Secrets in the hidden realm, right? So now Pluto and or Hades deals with what is very forgotten or suppressed. Understand that now. So the astrological significance of Pluto, right? In astrology, Pluto governs the eighth house, which deals with what the themes of death, transformation, shared resources, sexuality, and the actual occult, right? That's why I said, think about it. Even when it comes to Hollywood, it's why it's always a lot of that weird. It's always some weird sexual shit they got going on. Pedophilia, sex trafficking, fucking people for movie roles. Having it's always some weird sex shit, right? Is going on with that shit, right? You see what I'm saying? So like that sexual, and then remember, it's also the occultic aspect. Devil worshippers, Satan worshippers, the Baphomet, all these secret societies and this sex, and then the shared resource. Come on, now it's kind of showing you that all this shit kind of really linked to what the fuck we be seeing going on in the real world, especially with the entertainment industry. So now it is associated with psychological depth, emotional power, and the process of letting go of what no longer serves us. Right. Here's a closer look at how Pluto and its connection might manifest in your birth chart. So now we finna start delving into more of like what you can expect. And I got to get all this shit out the way so y'all can understand exactly what this shit really do in the birth chart, right? So far, before we go on to the next, we understand that Pluto is a planet that represents dark hidden things, right? But it also represents power within those dark hidden things. Because think about it. The Pluto or Hades or the underworld or whatever you want to call it is still ruled by those deities, right? So you get down there, like, oh, it's all dark and scary. Whole time it's a whole ruler down there, right? So you got to remember, so there is power inside of the actual darkness, right? So now, another thing, psychological influence, right? The deep kind of it's kind of similar to a lit displacement, not all the way, but it's kind of similar, right? But now let's keep going further. So now, wherever Pluto is located, and these are my own emojis I made. I made these with the emoji generator too. So now, wherever Pluto is located in your birth chart, it shows where you may experience intense transformation and power struggles. Y'all understand that? Pluto works in the background of your life, often triggering significant change that may feel uncomfortable or destabilizing, but ultimately leads to growth, renewal, and strength. Like I was just telling y'all last about the goddamn tarot card, the damn tower card. That sound you couldn't tell, but it don't sound like the tower card. In reverse, goddamn it. That's what it sounds like. So now, Pluto is about confronting the shadow aspects of your psyche. Like I said, similar to the Lilith placement, right? Go watch my Lilith video to see where it kind of differentiates, right? So now, the unconscious desires, fears, and hidden motives that can shape your life without you being fully aware of, right? Real shit. Like how you be around, like sometimes you know how sometimes you can be born into certain situations. You're not really like that, but you've been born in darkness, and that kind of darkness kind of like seep into your psyche and damn near make you a part of what it is. I'm just saying. You said so. It is where you might go through cycles of destruction and regeneration, sometimes without knowing why, but always emerging stronger. And that would be, you know, I'm talking about the significations of what. What does Scorpio rule in its highest aspect? The Phoenix, right? So that's a transformative power. And listen, and I'm gonna do different videos on the different aspects of what the Scorpion means in that stage, what the fucking Eagle means, and what the Phoenix means. Yeah, I'm had a lot of videos coming out on that shit. But so now let's scroll down because it's time to start getting to these Plutos in the house, right? But we finna just stay with it. Now, Pluto in the house. The house of Pluto is placed in your chart will show the area of life where you are likely to undergo these deep transformative processes. For example, Pluto in the first house might indicate a constant reinvention of self and identity, right? Because remember, you're taking that Plutonian energy, which is that psychological rebirth energy. It's kind of like taking just that, like the psychological and the rebirth process of Scorpio and just jamming it into to that one planet, right? So if you put that shit inside the first house, guess what? Consistent transformation with the actual physical identity, right? I mean, it just makes 100% sense, right? So now, while Pluto in the eighth house could suggest deep psychological and emotional transformation related to shared resources, sexuality, or death. Now, let me show. Let me tell you how that shit works too. You put Pluto inside of the eighth house. Guess what? The eighth house rule of what? Psychological depth. You know, what I'm talking about, it rule over shared resources, like basically like your spouse's resources, right, and your spouse's family, right, and sexuality. You put this transformative psychological darkness right there, you got to remember they can get into some private, pretty taboo shit too as well, right? Strong emotional, you know what I'm saying, upheaval when it comes in regarding to the area of life. So now, and the reason, because listen, I do know all this shit freestyle off the top of my head, but the thing, and you can go on my Facebook page and see, like, I know what I'm talking about without reading anything. Real talk. Because I see a lot of people come on here and they know, but I'm so detailed and anal with the shit. Because if you know Vedic astrology, you will know that in my D9 chart, my sun is in Virgo in the third house. Third house is the house of what? You know what I'm saying? Like writing, publishing, skills, shit like that. And I got Virgo there. So that's a very detailed and analytical thing because I know this shit off the top of my head, which is why I'm reading it. And after I read it, I try to make the example that I gave more visual inside of y'all minds and head. But if you want to see me doing live shit, reading people shit, and just go to my Facebook, type in rexkainn Kain live or Inferno Rex, like Inferno, and my shit will be at the bottom. But I just want y'all to understand that shit too. So now, Pluto's. So now, the psychological and spiritual growth. So now, Pluto's influence in your chart represents the process of psychic death and rebirth, right? This means that you will likely go through phases of intense psychological growth, breaking down old patterns, fears, or ways of thinking, and rebuilding yourself in a more empowered way. You understand that shit? So this is kind of like a creation through destruction, if you will it, because if you can just destroy yourself and never get the fuck back up, that's also a possibility too. So now the idea of regeneration is key. Pluto's role is to push you to to transform and grow, often by bringing unconscious material to the surface so you can confront it. Basically, you going within like fuck these thoughts, this pain, this hate, or this destructive energy that's tearing me apart with inside. Sometimes you need to. That's why might need to go to a therapist too. I also do astrological therapy as well. I got affordable prices for everybody. Real talk, I got $25 for 30 minutes and $50 for an hour. And I promise you, you will feel way better. Because I like to analyze exactly what's going on inside your actual life, so you can be like, oh shit, this is this why it all happened. That's why it all happened, right? Providing you a deeper sense of clarity, right? So now, what I want y'all to understand. So now, the idea of generation is key. Pluto's role is to push you to transform and grow, often by bringing out your diary this shit. So now this can be uncomfortable, but it's going through these challenges that you experience profound personal power. How you going, like, you got to think about it. Now let's look at that from a more practical perspective. How the fuck you gonna get bigger muscles if your muscles don't tear, right? Essentially, the way that you build muscles is by lifting weights or whatever, or doing push or whatever you doing, and the muscle actually tears, right? You see what I'm saying? And it tears, and that's why you eat and get you a lot of rest. So when those tears grow back, it makes the muscle thicker and stronger. You see what I'm saying? So literally, the process of building muscle, literally, you know what I'm talking about, mirrors what Pluto does inside of the birth chart, and that, you know what I'm talking about, symbolic way. You see what I'm saying? You see how you destroying the muscle for it to come back stronger, and then think about it. Once you get a bigger, stronger muscle, you're able to lift more weight, right? You see what I'm saying? Or you gain more endurance in it. You see what I'm saying? So now, Hades, the underworld, and secrets, right? So now what you got to understand now, Hades is deeply associated with the underworld, where there are things hidden or repressed, right? Like I was saying about that Lilith shit, right? In your birth chart. So Pluto often points to areas of life where you may feel compelled to delve into the darker, less understood aspects of yourself or the world around you, right? You may be drawn to investigate hidden knowledge, uncover secrets, or explore subjects like psychology, death, or the occult. Right? Remember, that's all Scorpionic eighth house shit, right? So now the shadow and power dynamics. Now, and stay with me, y'all. We finna get to the shit in a minute. The shadow side of Pluto and Hades can be expressed as manipulation, obsession, control, or avoidance of change, right? If you're not conscious of Pluto's influence, it may manifest in unconscious power struggles or fears of loss of control and transformation. However, when Pluto's energy is embraced consciously, it can give you immense personal strength and the ability to transform any area of your life that is stuck or stagnant, right? Real shit. Because you can use that tower card to destroy shit in a positive way. Like I was just saying when it comes to the muscle building, right? Or like even when they demolish certain buildings in your town or city, they might destroy the whole building, you know, with the demolition crew and then reshape that shit up to a nice resort or whatever. So sometimes you have to destroy what is already established in order to let something new and brighter and better be born. And that is just the 100% truth about life in general in all aspects, right? So now we finna get to it. The Hades Pluto connection in your life, right? So now the Hades Pluto connection speaks to the necessity of confronting the deepest, most hidden parts of yourself, right? Hades underworld is a metaphor for the unconscious, right? The emotional graveyard where past hurts, fears, and old patterns reside. So Pluto's placement in your chart indicates where you might feel the need to explore or confront these hidden aspects, face your shadows, and emerge renewed. I mean, similar to the actual day and night cycle. The sun has to fall every single day, but guess what? It rises every single day. You literally are witnessing a transformation process. You can say the same shit with the moon. The moon rises and falls every single day. I'm just keeping it a buck. So now, when you work with Pluto or Hades energy consciously, right, it is about not fearing these deep hidden areas, but embracing them, right? It is about integrating your shadow, the parts of yourself that are repressed or denied, and transforming them into sources of personal power and wisdom. Now, what y'all been waiting on. So now, Pluto in the first house. Now, the themes, and I made sure that I tried to get, you know what I'm talking about, is this is a general thing because you got to remember, Pluto can be in different signs, some Libra, some Scorpio, depending on how old you is. I think some is Sagittarius, some shit like that, you know what I'm talking about. And then the Pluto and in the divisional charts in Vedic astrology, like the D9 and D60, I also use them there as well. I know it ain't in no ancient text, but I'm about revolutionizing this ancient science too to fit our more modern structures. You understand? Now, so with Pluto in the first house, the things personal transformation, self empowerment, identity, and appearance, right? Excuse me. So Pluto here can create strong, intense persona. People with Pluto in the first house often experience deep personal transformation throughout their lives, which may involve a complete reinvention of themselves. That's that tower moment I was telling y'all, right? Where you realize, damn, I can't really make it like this. I gotta become something more, something better. Or sometimes a motherfucker might feel like they gotta regress in their personal nature and become more negative in order to get to the top. Real shit. So now there's a magnetic, powerful presence about them, you know what I mean? And they may be drawn to controlling or manipulating their own image and how others perceive them, right? This placement can signify someone with a powerful desire for self mastery, right? And the manipulation aspect come from those type though that more negative. If they're using manipulation is not always bad, right? But this placement can definitely use it for bad really really fast. I ain't gonna care. Now Pluto in its second house, right? So themes, right? Finances, values, possessions, and self-worth, right? So when Pluto goes into the second house, y'all, it leads to a deep focus on financial security, material possessions, and self-worth, right? There may be an intense drive to accumulate wealth, but also a risk of power struggle or control issues over money. There can be a transformation in one's values over time, right? And individuals may face significant crises regarding money, self-esteem, material stability, power dynamics, and relationships surrounding resources may be a prominent theme. Now, how do we look at that in a more practicalized view? You putting Pluto inside the second house, you got to remember it's already naturally a controlling dark planet, right? So you got to remember this can be some under the table type of money as well. You know what I'm talking about? Or this could be like you going into a partnership with somebody, like I said, power dynamic in relationships. Like I was saying, power dynamics in relationships. Y'all could be both, you know what I'm talking about, the founders of a certain project, right? And you got to remember when it comes to splitting the money, you say, okay, I should get 60, you should get 40, even though y'all had equal parts. You see out there, and the other person be like, hold up, we did the same amount of work, the same amount of everything, right? You see what I'm saying? It's like that dark psychological, you know what I'm talking about, possessiveness over the resources. I'm telling y'all, it can get like that, right? Because you got to remember, Pluto in this house is aspecting the eighth house. Remember, the second house is directly opposite to the actual eighth house, right? So what does that mean, right? That when Pluto aspects eighth house, it's eighth house for other people's resources. But Pluto is in your second house of your resources. So you see how it's y'all money getting tied up and tangled together. I'm telling y'all. And changing issues over and changing what's important. So listen, Pluto in the second house, especially paired with like a planet like Jupiter, could probably really have a strong, you know, it's my spiritual inclination as well. Suddenly too. The deep psychological, you know what I'm talking about, urge to go deep within and expand themselves, real shit. So now Pluto in the third house, right? So the themes of communication, learning, siblings, neighborhood, right? So when the Pluto goes to the third house, y'all, it gives a sharp, intense mind, often leading to profound ideas and the ability to influence others through communication. You understand that shit? That's their psychological depth. They gonna know exactly what to say to get you to comprehend that shit. Listen, the communication ain't always verbal. Communication is communication as long as somebody comprehend or understand what you're doing, that's kind of really what communication is, right? You can sign that's sign language, body language, not a verbal, but you still understand certain cues about what's really being said without some shit being said, right? So now, people with this placement may experience transformative relationships with siblings or the local community, and their way of thinking can undergo profound shifts, right? So they may be drawn to uncover hidden information or engage in research and investigations, right? Because you got to remember, power struggles or intense exchanges um, of ideas can shape their immediate environment. And I didn't put this there as well. The third house in Vedic astrology also rules effort. You understand that shit? It also rules efforts and also rules skills. Now, it could be it can manifest in a very negative way when it comes to effort, right? Because you put in a planet of darkness, you know what I'm saying, in the sign of effort, right? So you got to remember, this could be a person like I need to get whatever I need to get by any means necessary. You see what I'm saying? See, that's a lot of effort, but it's kind of more in a dark, psychological, twisted, you know what I'm saying, controlling and manipulative way, right? That's why I say so. Be careful, like with that shadow side, right? But now let's go down. So now Pluto in the fourth house. So now when Pluto go in the fourth house, the themes, home, family, roots, emotional security, right? So now the fourth house rules the home and family, and Pluto here can indicate transformative experiences related to one's childhood, family dynamics, or sense of security. There could be intense relationships with parents or power struggles with the family, right? So people with Pluto in the fourth house often seek emotional depth and transformation at home, and they may need to deal with the past in profound ways. It can also indicate a need to break free from a family pattern or ancestral legacies. Remember, like I said, wherever Pluto was going, it's carrying that damn tarot card energy of the Tower moments. That's it. Don't it seem like look at the theme? Wherever it goes, something got to get destroyed for something, so something can become something else, whether for ill or whether for good. Now, the fourth house also rules mother's nourishment, right? So you gotta be careful with that shit, right? Your mother could either nourish you in a dark way. You got some mama, some women have, some men and women have mamas that could probably be bad as hell too. You know what I'm talking about? And they love their children, but they can. You have seen how some family members commit crime together? Real shit. That's on a negative aspect, right? They nourishing each other like crime families. The daughter was a this, the mama was a this, the father was a this, the great uncle was a this. It was kind of in the lineage or whatever. This can manifest as one of those too. Even in the second house, because the second house of Vedic astrology also rules family, right? The second and the fourth house. What you got to understand is that the fourth house also rules the emotional comforts and happiness as well, right? So I'm gonna just let you put together what the fuck that might mean. So now, oh yeah, and then since Pluto is going into the actual fourth house too, now scriptures don't say this, but just looking at from what Scorpio rules, there also might be a tie to like dark ancestry. Real shit. So now Pluto in the fifth house, themes, creativity, romance, children, and self-expression. Meaning this placement brings intensity to creativity, romance, and expression, right? Pluto in the fifth house may result in powerful and transformative romantic relationships where there is a need for deep control and a dramatic shift on how love is experienced. It can also manifest in a powerful creative drive or a deep connection with one's children where intense experiences of powerful transformations are likely. This person may struggle with issues control in romantic relationships town moments. And with the kids too, fifth house is also a house of gambling as well, right? You know what I'm talking about? You got, especially if you put Moon and Pluto inside the fifth house, man, boy, and Scorpio some shit. This person might love to gamble, might want to open up a casino and shit like that. Real shit. I'm telling y'all, but that control and power dynamic in relationship, that's very Scorpionic in nature. Now, Pluto in the sixth house, work, health, daily routines, and service, right? So now Pluto in the actual sixth house, you know what that signifies a transformative approach to work and health, right? So there may be a need to analyze and control daily routines, right? Work environments or health practices. So now people with this placement may go through major health transformations or might be interested in healing or transformative practices, right? So now they can experience power struggles in the workplace or they may feel compelled to exert control over their day-to-day environment. Now, these individuals can also be very efficient and disciplined when it comes to their work and health habits, right? And I'm gonna stop right there because I'm gonna make the part two to this video, right? Because I'm gonna add some additional information to part two. In part two, we're gonna cover 7 through actual 12, right? So we covered the actual first 6. Then in the second part, I'm gonna cover the additional 6. All right, it's gonna be a little bit shorter than this video, but let's explain this one real quick. But let me read it one more time. So basically, Pluto in the sixth house often signifies a transformative approach to work and health, right? There may be a need to analyze and control daily routines, right? So now, work environments or health practices. Because you got to remember, you're still taking that subconscious, controlling, psychological, possibly manipulative dynamic, and you putting that shit inside. You know what I'm talking about, like the work environment. Man, look, man. So now people with this planet may go through major health transformations or might be interested in healing or transformative practices, right? Now, they can experience power struggles in the workplace or, or may feel compelled to exert control over their day-to-day environment, right? These individuals can also be very efficient and disciplined when it comes to their work, health, and habits. Real shit. So y'all gotta be really, 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 man. Listen, with these Pluto placements, and we gonna get into the part 2 tomorrow probably. That's why I say I want y'all to go back and reread through all of this shit so y'all can actually know. Y'all can get a good understanding. Okay, this Pluto shit it is pretty serious when it comes to the birth chart. But yeah, so now we didn't get out of that. I feel like I done talked enough, I done explained enough. Y'all as better understand. This is also the glyph for the symbol of for the planet Pluto too. So yes, y'all listen. Follow me on TikTok, Revelation Kain, Instagram, rexkainn with 2 N's, uh, Facebook, Inferno Rex, Inferno with 2 O's, and that Rex in the Inferno Rex with 2 X's, right? Or just Rex Angel Kain. But other than that, y'all, listen, I'm going to holler y'all later, man. Peace.